everyone, this is Jan, and today I am going to do a little demonstration. I had a request to show how I do the roses, especially the roses that I just did a video on, but I didn't do the roses, I did everything else. So what I want to do today is I'm going to demonstrate using 3 different paints. Each rose I have here, I'm going to have a different brand of paint. Now the first one I'm going to use Folk Art. And then the second one I'll either use Heritage or I'll use another one on open acrylics. Now each one is going to have a different retarder that I'm going to be using on these roses. And what I'll do is stay tuned till the end, and I'm going to tell you which one I really like the best. And you'll get to see what each one looks like. And I'm going to test this on the paints, the creaminess of the paints, the retarder, what feels the best when I start doing the overstrokes on the petals. So it should be a good little test here to see which one I'm going to like. I don't even know which one I'm going to like because I've never done a test this way. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this rose here with the Folk Art. And for that, I am going to be using, now if you have blending gel, you can use the blending gel. I'm going to be trying out this other retarder that I just got. It's called Falling in Art Acrylic Retarder Medium. And it says to just add a few drops to your paint as you're painting. Now, I wet this brush. It's a Folk Art brush. I wet it, blotted it, and then I went ahead, I put some of this retarder right here. And what I did was put some on my brush and work it into the brush. I'm going to blot it before I go in the paint. And what I'm going to do now I noticed when I put my brush down, it did put some of that retarder on. I don't want it to have too much retarder on it. I'm going to block in this rose. Now, being as I have retarder, it's going to allow me to block it in and then come back and do the overstroke. Okay, so I'm going to load up with the dark color. So I'm going to choose this magenta here for the darks, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the dark color right in the center. Okay, and then just kind of blend my brush. I don't know if all you can hear, but it's raining here in California. We're supposed to have flash floods down in LA. It's supposed to rain like 3 days. I love to paint when it's raining, so we're okay where we live. We kind of live up from the base of Bakersfield. We live on the outside, so we're fine where we are. There's nothing gonna flood where we are up here. Okay, so I have the magenta. Now I'm going to go into the pink here. Just a little bit of pink. And let me pick up a little bit of that retarder. Remember, I'm just blocking in here. Blocking in with color. Now let me go into... Now this one's a bright pink, this one's magenta right here. Then I'm going to go into a little retarder. Now this is the magenta. I want to keep the magenta here. And instead of blocking this in with all one color, I want to block it in with multiple colors. Okay, now we need a little more dark, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of the dark right underneath that bowl there. And every time I go right here, I'm picking up a little bit of retarder. to go in with the, let's see, that one is the Juneberry. I have Juneberry on this right now. Okay, now I'm going to wipe my brush again, and I want some more magenta with a little bit of that retarder on it. Now I'm looking at this as I'm doing it because I want to make sure that's going to stay wet, and so far we are okay. Now the front part there, I want that lighter, okay? So I'm going to mix up just a little bit of white, just a little bit of retarder, and I want the front of that to be white, and I'm just going to soften it right here in the front here. Just go back and forth and soften that, okay? So now I'm going to wipe my brush again. So now, oops, hang on, I got another little spot over here. Another little petal right over here. And block it in. I block mine in messy because we're going to do overstrokes on it. And I'm just sort of softening out where those colors meet. Okay, soften out. Now I can always float this center color in here if I want it deeper. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to wipe my brush off, and now I'm going to go into the white. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that retarder. I'm just going to work it into my brush, and I'm going to pick up some white. I'm going to move the white over here. I want the white to feel nice and creamy. Let's see if that retarder works really good on that. Now, can you see that this has a shine? There we go. You want to make sure you have that shine because that means that paint is still wet. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing the petals. Now, you can either start with the petals up here in the back center, or you can do the petals down here. So I'm going to start with the petals right back here, okay? We're going to do overstroke here. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go past where my paint is, okay? And I'm just staying over here in this little pile of white, and I'm letting some of those other colors come in here. That it turns pink once I take the stroke down and it touches other color. Then when I come back up and do a stroke, you'll get a little cute pink edge on there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, I can go ahead and complete this part down here. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here like that. And then tuck some petals right here in the middle here. I need a little more white. Make sure your white is real creamy. The white I have in here is real creamy. Okay, touch, pull. You're doing an arch shape is what you're doing. Now let me turn this so that maybe you can see a little better. I'm using the back corner there, and I'm just making little strokes. Now, I can see right here my pattern, so I'm going to correct that. Okay, and I'm just going to make another little petal right here. Okay, come on around right there. So this part is done. Okay, now I'm not pulling all the way down into this. I'm just pulling about halfway. So now, okay, my paint is still wet. I'm checking the drying time on this too. So let's go ahead and do some outside petals, and I'll start right up here. Okay, so I start in the middle here, touch, pull down, touch, pull down, touch, pull down. Okay, now here, touch and pull into the side there, touch, pull into the side. Now I'm going to go over here, let's do the other side. Okay, so let's touch. Now I'd probably make 2 petals out of that. Touch and pull, touch and pull. Just checking to see about that staying wet for me. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and do this one. I didn't pull down as far on this one. Okay, start in the middle out here. See how far I go out? Like right there. And pull in. Okay, I like to do things a little bit jagged. I don't want it real smooth. Okay, let's go back in. I do an arch. Whenever I do these petals, it's actually an arch or a fan shape whenever I pull those in. Okay, let's go ahead and do some front petals here. I'm going to finish that out. So I'll touch, pull down, pull right down in here. Okay, let's go to the other side. Touch and pull. I'm pulling that right down to right there. Okay, now I can cross it over wherever I want to. I'm just going to do a little one right here. I want a little peak on that. Touching in the white. Okay, now let's go ahead and complete this. Now I'm going to go right on across here. So it looks like there's a petal right here, and then we have one coming across right here. Okay, but it's all being directed right down to there, right down to the bowl. Okay. There we go. Whoops. Hit the top there. Okay, this one's pretty much done. Okay, now you can go ahead and highlight. Let me see how much drying time is on this, because I feel like it's starting to get a little tacky with me. So let's go into some white. Now I can add some little petals right here. Okay, let's try to add some little petals coming in. So I'm going to go here, touch, pull down. I'm going to carry that petal right on around to right here. Let's do another one here. Touch. Pull right to the bottom of that. Okay, dip in a little bit of white. Okay, let's do another one here. So let's start and do one about right here. Went a little bit too far right there. So let's bring that back. Okay. Here we go. Let's redo that one right there. Okay. That one goes out. Okay. I think we've completed this one. Now, the drying time on this, let me pick up a little bit of the baby blue right here. I want a little blue on this. I want a little shadow tone on this. So let's see. Let's shadow tone this kind of in the front here with a little blue. Alright, I'm going to put a little blue up here because I can see the line. Okay, maybe a little blue right there, and maybe a little blue over here. And I'm just not using any thinners or anything retarding stuff. Okay, now that looks good. And then you know, would put your little dots. You want little dots up there. Okay, now let me look at this. Now I would say I've been working on this 15 minutes, and that's about how long it takes me to do a rose. Okay, now there's the shine. It's still wet back there. Okay, but it was starting to set up a little bit. Okay, so that's with the folk art and the acrylic, this acrylic retarder medium. I get it on Amazon. But if you have blending gel, you can use your blending gel, okay? So that's the first rose, and what I will do is go ahead and do this next rose. I think I will save the heritage until the last one. So this one here, I'm going to use the open acrylics, okay, for this one over here. Okay, I'll be back in a few to show you how to do one with the open acrylics. Okay, now the next one I'm going to do this one over here, and I am going to be using Golden's open acrylics, and those look like this. You can get these on Amazon also. Now the one thing about the open acrylics is they already have a retarder in them. So you can paint with them just as they are, or if you want to add a little more retarder to it so that it stays wet, then they have an open thinner that you use, and on these you don't want to add more than 25% to your pile of paint, okay, otherwise it dilutes it too much. So, and this comes with your kits whenever you buy an open acrylic kit. You get all the tubes of paint and the thinner too. That's the way I would recommend getting these. Okay, so I also have a number 8 flat brush, and I am going to use, let's go ahead and do our darks. Also, I'm using what you see here. This is a Stay Wet palette. You can get these, I got mine on plaidonline.com, and these were on sale for $11, and so I bought 2 more of them. I already had one, so I bought 2 more, and that way I could do all 3 of my acrylics and have it to where my paints would be out, and I could choose whichever paints I want to paint with. You have a little sponge inside. This fits right on the top. You can see when I'm finished, it's going to be right on the top, and you just match the notches, push it down. I labeled mine. This is open acrylic, so I didn't get them mixed up. But when you're finished, you just put the top back on it and set it down, and you can keep these for over a month, and they will still be workable. I would recommend these, and you never find these for $11. Go to Plaid online, and they're on sale right now for $11. They're usually about $20. So go ahead and grab me some. I also used the present seal on it so that this covering, whenever I'm finished with these, I can just peel it right off and just go ahead and throw everything away, put me another sheet on, and I'm ready to go. And then I don't have to soak this in the sink to get it clean. Okay, that's how I like to do it. Okay, let's get started on our rose. I have my brush. It's got a little bit of the open thinner on it, and I want, let's go with the darks, and I think this one here, let's see, what color is that? Let's see, I think that's like the alizarin. Okay, we're good. I had to check because it's kind of in the shadow here. Yes, I think that's kind of like alizarin. All right, let's see how long this stays wet. Okay, I'm going to do it the same way I did this one. I'm going to lay in some dark. And my dark is going to be in the center. And my dark is going to be right under the cup. If I do the little cup right here, it's going to be right under the cup there. I'm just putting in color. I am blocking in. I'm going to dip into a little bit of thinner right there. Okay. There's that. Now I'm going to wipe my brush on a paper towel, and then I'm going to go into a pink. Looks like a magenta actually, and I dipped into a little bit of the thinner right there, and I'm going to block in some of the pink. That's a pretty color. Okay, I'm going to fill the rest of this in. I just dipped the corner in, and let's go out here, and then we can add our little other petals. I'm checking to make sure it's going to be wet. Don't want anything dry up on me. Here's the petals. Block in and just kind of feather where the colors meet. Don't have to worry about being real particular with it. Now I'm going to wipe that off. I think I might dip in a little water because I want the front of this to be lighter. In fact, I might pick up a little yellow, maybe a little white here. Let's do the front of this, maybe in the yellow. That'll be pretty. Just a lighter color. There we go. Okay, now when I wipe my brush, when I pull in the sides, we'll go ahead and do the pink. Okay. Here's the bowl. Don't want to lose the bowl. And this right here is the top of your rose. Okay, wipe my brush again. Now let's just softly blend these two colors together. Just kind of fuse them together to where they're kind of a soft blend. Okay. And let me pick up a little more of the dark. Let's add a little more of the dark up here. Don't want to lose all my darks. Okay, now let's check it. Boy, see how shiny that is? Yeah, that's going to stay wet for quite a while. Okay, again, you can choose whatever you want to start with. I'm going to wipe my brush down. I'm going to dip it in a little bit of water and then blot it. Now I'm going to use white. I'm going to come over here where the white is. I'm going to pull the white out. Now I'm going to test it for to see if it's a thick white or is it a real creamy. To me it feels real creamy, so I'm going to use it as it is. Okay. Now I think I'm going to mix just a little bit of that pink with it so that it's not a pure white. It's going to be a light pink. I'm loading both sides of my brush. Okay, beautiful color. Look how bright that is. Wow. Okay, I'm going to start at the back here like I did here. So we're going to make an arch. I'm going to start past my color. Pull down. Okay, load again. Now as I load, it's going to make this more of a pinky color, which is good. Paint feels nice and smooth. Okay, let's go up here. Wow. I'm feeling these paints as I'm doing it, and they feel very creamy. Very creamy. The strokes go on really. Oops, I have a ridge on it. Let's go back. Let's pull this one over. See how I just used that to pull it over? Okay, let's do another arch. I'm sitting on that back edge of that. Let's pull this one over like that. Okay, now let's go back into the white. I'm pulling some white out. It still feels nice and creamy. I'm going to pull some color right down here. These are going to be shorter strokes. I don't want to cover up all my dark, so that's all I'm going to do in the center. Alright, here we go down with the outside petals. Okay, I'm going to start right out here. Okay, I'm starting out further. I'm going to pick up a little bit. Let's see, do I have some? Yes, I do have. I had to look to see if that was some retarder. Okay, I'm going to load my brush. I'm going to start out here. Touch, pull in. Touch, pull in. Okay, I'm going to pick up more white. Okay, start out here. Touch, pull in. Bring that petal here. Alright, let's go here. Pull in. Let's go to the other side. Do the same thing. I'm going to start in the middle. Touch. Pull in. Now that has maybe a little bit too much of a slant there. There we go. Paint still feels good. Touch. Pull. Let's make that petal come this way. Okay, I think I'm getting too much paint on my brush. I'm going to wipe some of it off. I don't like a lot. I don't want globs of paint on my brush. I want it kind of thinned out. Touch, pull, touch, pull. Let's go that direction. There we go. Okay. Pull some more white out. Touch, pull. Now it's pulling, starting to pull with me a little bit. Might need some thinner on it. Let me check it. Okay, it's still shiny. Okay, let's load our brush again. Now, let's go ahead. Now this stroke here, there. Let's straighten that one up. There we go. Okay. Now let's go to the front here. Okay, now we can do our front any way we want to. So let's just start some short strokes here. Just to get the direction going. I want it to feel like it's a bowl of the rose with some little top ones here. Okay, now let's bring some down a little bit further in here so we can do, let's do a petal that comes all the way around here. I still want to see some of that gold tone in here. I don't want to cover all that up. And, whoops, I got a big blob. Hang on here. Yeah, I think I have a ridge in my palette there. There we go. So that looks like a petal there. I want to save that area right here. But I also want to make sure I get this going in the right direction here. I see a little blooper there. Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure I still have the bowl and it's showing. Okay. Now that one took about 13 minutes to do. Oops, I just messed that up. Okay, so let's come in and redo that one. Oh, my brushes is splitting here, so okay, I'm going to wipe it in a little bit of water and blot it. get some of the paint off of it so that it's nice and flat in a chisel. Okay, sometimes it'll get so full of paint it'll start spreading out, and then you won't get those chisel edges. So if it does that, just go ahead and wipe it in water and blot it out on your paper towel. Wipe it out. Okay, now I could go ahead and come back and add some other petals in here. I just don't want to, I want to keep that color going right there. Let me check. This is still plenty wet. Let's go ahead and add some blue. Ooh, I have some turquoise here. Let's add a little bit of turquoise. That would be pretty, huh? Okay, so I'm going to pick a little white and a little bit of turquoise, and we're going to add a little bit of shadow in here. So, ooh, that's pretty. I like that turquoise. Okay, I'm just flattening out my brush as I'm adding some color. Let's add one here. Let's add a little turquoise down here, so maybe I can, we're going to keep this one under 15 minutes too. That way each of them have about the same time on them. So let me go ahead and get this blue one. It's actually turquoise. That's a pretty color. That looks very nice. Okay. And let's add a little turquoise over here. And I could even put a little bit of turquoise like this. Petals coming up like that. So, adding the blue highlights, it just really adds to your work, I think. Of course, you might not think so, but if you don't add them. You can also add yellows. This is just shadow. You can also add sunshine colors, you know, the yellows to it. Okay, I think we have enough blue on that. As long as I keep that right in there, I want to see that. I don't want to lose that little bit of sparkle right there, which was a little bit of the yellow. Now, I don't know if I can I actually put some of that back in? Let's see if we can. I don't want to mess it up, but we might could add a little bit more of the yellow. Okay, let's see. Yes, you can still see it. All right, there is the open acrylics. Still really wet. Yeah, the open acrylics. See now, if I'm looking at this one up here, it's already pretty much dry. You can just see a little bit, just a little bit here and there. This one here with the open acrylics, that is still really wet after 15 minutes. I'm at 17 minutes now. Okay, so that one's nice. That stays open really a long time. Okay, let's go to our next one over here, and this is going to be with the Heritage acrylics. Okay, see you in a few. All right, we're back, and I have my excuse me, Heritage paints out now, and this is a really nice brand of paint. This is by David Jann, and he's an artist and was a chemist for the paints and everything. And I think that he mentioned that these paints do have a little bit of retarder already in them, but also he has retarders that This one's the liquid one. This is Janssen Art Extender Medium. This is liquid. And I am going to be using this one here, which is the Matisse Open Medium. And this one here says, don't mix more than 50% with your acrylic paints if you have like a puddle of paint. Okay, so I have a little bit of that right here. And on my palette here, I have worked it into my brush, and we're going to do the same thing here. What we're going to do, let me turn this a little bit. I like to have my roses facing up. So I'm going to choose the dark. I'm going to choose kind of a violety red, and then I'll go to the magenta. And this one's going to be more of an open rose here. Okay, so do right here, and then I'm going to come under here, and of course all of David's paints in the Heritage line is just so creamy. You just really feel the difference right away. And you can see when they're put out on your palette here. See, they stay piled up. They don't run all over the place. Just very, very creamy, good quality acrylics. And he can do all kinds of stuff with these acrylics. It looks just like he's painting in oil paints. Yeah, he's an amazing artist. I love he paints everything. He paints landscapes, westerns, portraits. He used to do, his mother was folk art, book art teacher. And I used to have a lot of her books, Jo Sonia. And then he went into doing chemistry, and he developed this line of paints for himself to use, and they're just amazing. Very creamy. So I'm just, again, I am blocking in color. Now I'm going to go over in a little white here, because these colors are pretty close to one another, and I want to show a variance. And I'm going to dip a little bit of the open medium. Again, I'm just blocking in color. Like that. Now I'm going to chop blend. Let me wipe this off. And then I will chop blend it. See how you just take and you just fuse those two colors together. Just lightly fuse them together. You don't have to really blend, just where they meet. Keep the rest of it the way it is. Go in a little white here. Now I want the front, of course, to be lighter. And I'm going to put a little bit of yellow here, right here in the front. Let me wipe that off and redo the yellow. Okay, now let's come back over. I'm going to add a little more white to this. And we just want to be sure we can see this bowl right here. Come around, there's the bowl. You kind of lose your lines and everything, but once you've done roses, you can go ahead and do your rose. Okay, let's get this patted in here a little bit more. Okay, so now that's going to stay in there. All right, let's go ahead and go to our white here. I'm going to dip in the white. I'm just going to blend it right here blend it out. Remember, I don't paint thick. Don't do thick. I keep my paint thinned out. See? You still got a chisel edge on that. Oops, there it is, right there. I pull my paint, work it in to where I still have a chisel edge when I start to do my overlay. Now let's look at this. Okay, see the shine? It's not as shiny as the open. Look at this open. It's still open. Can you believe it? I think that's going to be the winner for how long it stays open. Okay, so here we have this. I'm going to add a little open medium to it. All right, let's start back here. I hang on to my, I got to hang on to this because it wants to, it's kind of crooked. Okay, now right away, I am seeing it kind of dry. Okay, so let me get a little more open medium in this. Because I like my paint to be light when I start these overstrokes. Okay, let's try this again. Touch, pull. Has a nice feel to it. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing with this is, let me try another stroke over here. Yeah. Okay. Now, what I'm seeing with this is instead of using the open medium to thin down when I do an overstroke, I'm finding that it's working better to dip the back corner of my brush in a little water. That will thin the paint out a little bit more and it makes a better stroke. Okay, so let's go over here, touch and pull. Yeah, that works a little better with these acrylics. Okay, let's go here, right down. Pick up a little more white. Pick up on the corner a little more water. Mix that so I have a nice fluid area. Okay. Yeah, now I'm not getting my fluidness that I want. Okay. A bit more white. Now I am on, what, 8 minutes here? Doing the rose. Okay. I'm going to try to keep it under 15 minutes here. Now David, he can really, really work these acrylics. He does beautiful roses. He does it, it's a different technique than what I'm showing you here. I can't do his style. It's beautiful whenever he does it, but I just can't, I can't get his style. I can't get the paints to work like he does. He developed them, he's developed a style of using them, and they're just stunning, but I cannot do his style. I don't know why. I'd have to spend more time learning his style. But he can sure do the style that he has. They're beautiful. They look just like oils. I can't get over how beautiful his roses are. Don't look like acrylics at all. He just knows how to work with these paints. He developed them. Okay, so I have one in there. All right, let's do, ooh, picked up a little yellow. That's kind of nice. Let's pick up a little yellow. Maybe I'll highlight this one with some yellow, huh? Pick up a little yellow, mix it in with the pink. Yeah, let's use yellow on this one. Yellow in with the pink. Okay. Let's go over here. Okay, now this is starting to set up on me. Yep, it is. Starting to set up with me. Now, David, he mixes in this one. He mixes a lot of this in with his paints, the liquid one. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's why, and I don't have any of that out. So maybe I would need to mix that in with the paints. I'm just cleaning my brush here. So this one took about 12 minutes to do with the Heritage. And my overall pick as far as the feel of the paints, the smoothness of the blending is right here. The open acrylics. It feels nice and smooth. It's still wet. I mean, look at this. See how shiny it is? It's still completely wet. The others, let's see if I can get in here. The others are starting to dry up. The Folk Art is pretty much completely dry. So if you're looking for paint that will stay open, now it'll stay open. All of these will stay open for about 15 minutes for sure with any of these mediums and the paints that are used. If you need more open time, which sometimes I do on the backgrounds and stuff, go with the open, because I still have time to come back and do these. And I think whenever I did this set of leaves right here was with the open. And this one was with some of the acrylics. And you can even tell the difference on that. These acrylics, they just blend it all together and you don't have a lot of different variants. But these over here, look how pretty and individual the leaves are on this. What I'm saying is the open acrylics, these right here, work more like oil paint. So if you want the feel of oil paint, go with the golden open acrylics. And you can get this set like probably 8 tubes, might be 12. I don't know how many are in the kit. It's been a while since I got it. But you can get these on Amazon and you will end up with a kit of them. You can also buy them individual. They're pretty pricey for individual colors. Sometimes you're going to pay $12, $13 for a bigger tube of this for the regular 2 ounces. These are just 3/4 fluid ounces on these, but these last a long time because you don't have to use very much paint. You saw I just used a little bit of paint for that. So that's my choice. If you want to paint like you want to paint in oils and you want them to last and you want to come back and piddle with them and everything, that's your winner right here, okay? If you don't need that, then you can go with the Folk Art or you can go with the Heritage. Now, I'm sure on this Heritage, if I use this other thinner here, this other extender, I would have more open time, because when he does his backgrounds, he uses this watery brand, the extender medium, and his paints are still wet when he finishes his painting underneath. So I'm sure it had to do with my medium that I was using. So I might do one with this other medium here to see how that works. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll go ahead and get this ready to put up. And the brushes I used on this was also Heritage brushes. Excellent brushes. Look how chiseled edges those are. They work great. Okay? And you can get those on JanssenArt.com. All right, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll be having more paintings that we'll be doing. And you can help my channel grow. And if you have any requests on some florals, just drop me a comment. Okay? I won't tell you that I'm going to paint them, because some of them I probably won't know how to paint, because I mostly stay with poppies and roses and smaller flowers that are intermingled with those. But anyway, this was fun. All right. Bye for now. Have a great weekend. Okay, everyone, I decided to add a little bit more to this little setting of roses here. So I'm going to show you how I do the up and back leaf. I'm still using the Heritage paints, and I'm using the other type of open extender on it. So I have here a little bit of white with the pine green and a little bit of blue. I have a little stem here, and I'm just going to turn this way a little bit. And when I do the up and back leaves, I start at the back, just do a basic stroke, and then here I do a basic stroke right next to it, and it makes a little heart leaf. And then that way it already puts a little vine in, let's see, vein, that's the word I'm thinking of, a little vein in there for you, so that you don't even have to put a little vein in there. But that's how I do the little leaves that go with these roses, like right here. And they're very easy to do. You don't have to work at it or anything. You just do your little stem here first. Little stem here. And let's come up a little closer so we can see it. Okay, I have the light color on the outside. Touch. Pull. Now go right next to it where that light color will make the vein for you when you come back. Okay, let's connect it to that right there. Okay, and that's how you do your little stems. Okay, hope you enjoyed this. Just thought I'd throw that in there so you don't have just roses. You can go ahead and complete it out. Do a cute little painting. Okay, bye.